What is going on, people? Welcome back to the YouTube channel and another episode of Displaying Classic. We are 3 days out from the British Finals Pro Qualifier. So we are a few days into the reverse, which has been super slow and steady so far. We have had 2 days of escalated calories, 2 days of reduced expenditure, and 2 sessions at reduced volume and intensity. So we are slowly bringing the physique back to life. I definitely don't feel back to life yet. I still feel pretty fatigued. So we're going to continue to drop that off. But I wanted to take you guys through my rest day, full day of eating today. We've checked in with Dan this morning. I feel very meh about the visuals. Definitely a step forwards in fullness, but I can still see that the physique is a little tired and carrying some fatigue. So it hasn't got that kind of hardness and that kind of pop to it yet, which will come over the next few days. I'm very confident in that. And I think this rest day today is going to do me a world of good before the final pump-up session tomorrow. So I'm going to take you guys through that. And I also want to touch on the true financial cost of a bodybuilding prep. Because it's not something that people talk about too much or have a true understanding of, maybe going into your first ever prep. So I want to break that down for you guys and give you an honest insight into how much this sport can cost. So we have the plan of action sent over by the boss man. So I'm going to run you through that. So it's rest day nutrition today. So another kind of step forwards on my previous rest day. So we've got 3,136 calories going in. And then once again, moderate approach to the macronutrient setup. We've got 269 grams of protein, 68 grams of fat, and 362 grams of carbs. So I'll run you through all of those meals today, one by one. In regards to the other setup, it is literally 4,000 to 5,000 steps. I'm going to need a goddamn wheelchair at some point today because that is super low, but once again, just aiding in getting the legs as fresh as possible because it's still carrying a little bit of soreness from Monday's session. We're keeping fluids consistent, salt consistent, so 6 litres of fluid, 12 grams of salt split between low salt and pink salt. We're starting to introduce some real mild diuretics in vitamin C, so just escalating that up to 3 tabs today and actually introducing telmisartan, which is typically a blood pressure control supplement, but also helps with a little bit of diuresis as well. So yeah, just starting to drip feed a little bit of that in as well. So it's a very easy day for me today. I've got a heavy bout of work. I've got 2 back-to-back client calls this morning, which I'm going to hop on in a minute. So we're going to do that. Get a food shop in because I've been kind of very reactionary and just doing a food shop per day based on what Dan sets me. And then I'll sit down and show you what the first meal is. So we are in the office and I've just wrapped up the 2 client calls. Both clients who have just finished their first ever half marathon. So I don't just coach bodybuilders, but it's super important that you get on a call as soon as possible after any event or any huge goal has been accomplished. It can be very easy for a client to feel lost. It goes the same for a prep. You want that next plan in place to get them excited, to give them direction, so you can roll straight onto that next process, straight onto that next phase with an understanding of what we need to do, so you don't have that period of time, that lull where there's going to be a drop-off in motivation, where that short-term goal is no longer fast approaching. It could be very far in the future. So it's so important as a coach and as an athlete that you get those next goals in place as soon as possible. Both of them are now super excited and working towards the next target, the next goal they've got in place. So my stomach was rumbling on that second call. You will find when you start to reintroduce more food, hunger signaling actually starts to rise. And this is why post-show, this is why post-diet is so challenging, because you do adapt as you get deeper into a deficit, and you do get a slight downregulation in hunger when your body realizes you're not going to give it extra food. But then as soon as you reintroduce food, there's a survival mechanism that kicks in, and the body thinks, this is an opportunity that this guy is giving me more food, so I need to tell him to store, eat more, just in case he starves me again. So it can be very difficult to manage, and since we've started reversing out, my God, the hunger has been high. But I've been appreciating the meals. So I need to go and do a quick food shop to get everything I need for today. I thought I'd show you the current trophy cabinet that's looking slightly healthier and slightly less silver now that we've got the gold overall trophy and the gold medal sitting up there. So hopefully there will be more room to add to this season. I'm hoping for a nice blue IFBB Pro card to sit up in behind there, maybe. We shall see. So let's go get the food shop in and meet you for meal one. Okay, people, so we are back and chefing up meal number one. And I got a little bit of off-season PTSD cutting up all these potatoes. It takes so long. And I remember in the off-season, when potatoes got up to like 650 grams, the time it would take to make all of the meals. That is the only thing that I'm not looking forward to in the off season, is how long it takes to make all of these meals. But I appreciate these meals so much, I'm not going to complain about 350 grams of potato that we're about to bang into the air fryer. So we have meal one going down, beef and potatoes for breakfast. In regards to seasoning, we gotta keep it super simple. We're trying to regulate and control sodium intake, and so many seasonings will include sodium. Same with condiments. So you need to be very conscious of that, especially in a peak week. We'll just be using raw seasonings and keeping it minimal. So smoked paprika, bit of pepper, and a bit of smoked garlic over the beef and over the potatoes. And then there is a seasoning that I did buy for the chicken called Mrs. Dash seasoning. So this has absolutely no calories in it and no added sodium, and it tastes unbelievable. This is like stuffing when you put it over the top. It's just ridiculously expensive as a result. So I think I paid like £8 for this little seasoning, but that's what prep does to you, people. But today we're just going for the paprika, pepper and salt, and then I will put a very tiny bit of this sriracha sauce from Sainsbury's, which literally has no sodium and only 60 calories per 100 grams. So just a little 10 grams over that, keeping that consistent. Just add a little bit of flavour to the meal. So we have 180 grams of beef mince chefing up in the pan with 100 grams of mushrooms. So we're still keeping vegetables consistent today. I know typically in a peak week you'll start to move towards denser volumes of vegetables and denser volumes of food, but I am so far under my weight cap, I don't need to worry about that. We're also trying to create as much stability and as much consistency in all of these variables, so we're keeping all of the vegetables that I normally use, because they're going to come with some fibre, so they're going to help with some digestive efficiency and stool movements as well. And I know all of this food digests so well, even with slightly more volume. And it's a rest day. I can space these meals out super easy, so I know I'm not going to run into any issues. And then over the next day or two, we will probably start to remove vegetables or just keep them to a slightly denser sauce. And then potatoes, Dan still likes to use these in a peak week just because of the additional potassium that they bring as well. So I've got no issues, they digest well. And then we've got, the camera's going to try and follow me, but it can. Then also got 30 grams of sauerkraut. This is the one we picked up from the food festival if you watched the last video. And it's a Mexican sauerkraut. So fermented, unpasteurized, finely sliced cabbage, dish packed with extra flavors and live cultures. So this tastes insane. And it's got a few other little kind of spices and stuff in there. Just once again, to help with that gut microbiome, gut health, and help with digestion of this meal. So we just got like 20 to 30 grams of that additional as well. I'm freezing today, so I'm looking forward to a warm meal to warm me up. So here we have it, meal one, ready to be consumed. So for exact numbers, we have 180 grams of raw weight, 5% beef mince, 30 grams of sauerkraut, 350 grams of white potato, and 100 grams of mushrooms. So this is going to go down very nicely. And I've then got the little walking pad over on the floor for some digestion steps, which is going to have to be very minimal after each meal because I've only got 5k steps today. So a little 8-minute walk on there just to help things digest efficiently. I'll nail all my check-ins for today, get work done nice and early, and then I will meet you guys for meal two and then talk through how much a bodybuilding prep truly costs. Would you take a look at that, people? Fucking hell, am I excited to eat this. A damn productive stint of work this morning. just having some more carbohydrates in the system just allows for cognitive function. So I've smashed out all client check-ins in one bout, which felt super productive. And it is now time for meal 2, which is glorious. As you would have seen, so many different colours in this meal. But we have got 80 grams of uncooked weight jasmine rice, 180 grams raw weight chicken breast, roasted peppers, beetroot kimchi, some spring onion, 20 grams of almond butter. And if you don't know, get to know and get on the hype of nut butters in your chicken and rice or in your rice savoury meals. It is an absolute game changer for flavour profile. You haven't lived if you haven't put almond butter or peanut butter in a chicken and rice dish. Don't knock it until you try it. Trust me. It's like satay chicken? Satay chicken? What the fuck do you say? It's like satay chicken from the Chinese. And I would literally have that on every single meal if it didn't clock up the fat so quickly. But so nice here on the rest day to have some additional fats in this chicken and rice meal through the form of almond butter. So I'm going to tuck into this, enjoy this meal, and then we will sit down and talk through the cost of a bodybuilding prep. Just makes it so creamy. So that meal sat so well, it didn't even touch the sides, and I was so hungry still after. So I'm pulling 100 grams of berries from my final meal to this meal. Fancy a little sweet part 2 to this meal. So we're going to enjoy 100 grams of these because I was so hungry. Okay, people, I wanted to sit down and talk through the financial cost of a bodybuilding prep. Something that not a lot of people talk about, but something that I thought would be super insightful, especially for people who have never prepped before or are looking to prep in the future. So you have a bit of an understanding of how much this actually costs, because it totals up very quickly. So I've jotted down some expenses on my phone that I'm going to work through, and we're going to roughly total it up. Now, this will be relative to the individual, and that will change the cost of the prep. And for some people, you can make things cheaper. But understand, for me, I'm trying to go for my IFBB Pro card. I'm trying to get to the top level of the sport. So there may be some expenses that I decide to invest in that you might not need to for your first prep. But it's actually quite scary when I total this all up and realize how much I spend on this sport. But at the end of the day, I think this is an investment into myself, into my career. So it's something that I don't see as a negative expense, because you could very easily spend this on designer clothes, on nights out at the weekend, and it will total up to a very similar set point. But we're going to run through everything that I could think of. I'm sure I'm missing some other things, and I haven't included things that I would be spending in the off season anyway, like gym membership, like food, because that's just a non-negotiable part of this sport anyway. So I've tried to keep the costs relatively specific to the prep, and we'll see what it totals up to. Starting off is coaching. Now, 90% of people these days will have guidance throughout a prep from a prep coach. And the rough price of a prep coach is probably going to be up towards £200 and above. I'm not going to say how much I'm paying my coach, Dan, because that's confidential to him. But I'd say the average price of a prep coach is probably going to be around £200. And the length of a prep is probably going to be around about 6 months. So already there, that's an expense of £1,200 for a prep coach. If you're going into your first ever prep, I almost feel like it's a non-negotiable to have that guidance, to take you through an experience that you've never been through before, and obviously give you the best possible chance of success. So coaching, £1,200 for a 6-month prep. Now, this is where it gets a little more specific to me now that I'm doing an assisted prep. I have done 3 sets of blood work throughout this entire prep to drive decision making when it comes to cycle design, to ensure I am healthy and responsive. And each blood test cost anywhere between £150 to £200 to get a full extensive panel done. So if we say £200, I've done 3 tests That's £600 on blood work throughout the entire prep. And I will get another set of blood work done as soon as I have finished prep to see where all of my markers are at where my body is going to be under the most stress and in the most compromised position. So that is blood work, £600. Then coming on to the PEDs themselves. Now, when you start your PED or your assisted journey, they're not very expensive. As I've mentioned before, one vial of testosterone is probably the same price as a tub of protein that's going to last you a few months. However, as you start to get into prep and you start utilizing orals, you start escalating different drugs, it can add up very quickly. And I would say I've probably spent as part of £1,000 on PEDs in this entire prep, which is absolutely crazy. There is a current shortage of DHTs. So a lot of labs have put up their prices for some of these compounds. So that has definitely totaled up the price a little quicker. I have used a moderate dose of growth hormone, which is a more expensive compound to use. So it could easily be more than £1,000. That's just a rough estimate here. When you start introducing orals towards the back end of a peak week at higher doses as well, that's going to clock up very quickly. So I would say around about £1,000. And in order to keep yourself as healthy, as responsive as possible, because we know a healthier body is a more responsive body, you need to consider health supplementation. I'm in a very fortunate position to get a majority of my health supplements covered from my sponsor. However, I will still go out of my way to invest in further health supplementation that ESM may not cover, just for even more organ protection and ensure that my blood work is in the best spot possible as it's under increasing stress with a higher drug load getting into the back end of prep. So you could easily be spending £200 a month on health supplements alone. This does not include your whey proteins, your creatine, because that's just once again a non-negotiable year round. But health supplements in particular, I'll probably spend £100 myself a month. But if I wasn't sponsored, I'd be looking at around about £200 a month. So once again, you're looking at, for an entire prep, £1,200 purely on health supplements. It could be a little bit less than that, but it's something that I just simply do not skip on, because I am so concerned with my longevity and getting out of this sport as healthy as I can. So let's say £1,000 on health supplements across a prep, because I think that is generally realistic. And then the PEDs will go £1,000 as well. So now actual show day costs, because this adds up very quickly as well. So membership to a federation will vary. I think your other federations like PCA and your drug tested federations, you're probably looking at about £70 to £80 to gain a membership for the entire year. Because I'm going for my IFBB Pro card and I'm going through the NPC, which is the only route to the Olympia, to the IFBB Pro League, the prices are typically a little higher. So I believe my membership was around about £120 for the year. And then you need to enter your class following that. So you enter a show. Now, the regional, I think, was around about £70 to £80 for show entry. But the pro qualifier, which I'm doing in a few days' time, was about £150 to enter a class. You can enter multiple classes on one day if you want to, like novice classic and open classic for some people, right? Or first timers if you're a first timer. That's not something that I've done, but you can very quickly see how that can add up as well. And I do believe show entry for other federations is probably more like £30 to £40, but through the NPC, definitely a little more. And I'm pretty aware that international pro qualifiers are even more expensive again. So I've already spent £200 just simply on entering 2 classes in this season so far. Now, these shows are not close by. So there's travel expenses here, there's accommodation expenses. Both shows that I have chosen to do, first was in Essex and the next one's in Bradford. That's 5 hours to get to either show. So that is well over a tank of fuel. It is also an Airbnb cost, because where we are traveling so far, we typically stay 2 nights to minimize any stress. So you're probably looking at £200 per Airbnb. So you're looking at £400 there just for 2 shows on Airbnbs. You could go cheaper, you could go in a hotel, but I need the correct kitchen set up to make sure that I minimize stress and I feel really prepared. And I'm not trying to travel up on the day. So we'll say kind of show entry is £200, Airbnb £400. Travel cost, let's just go £150, right? By the time you've done a tank of fuel, maybe there and back, or across those 2 shows. Then we're looking at the tan, because you need to get 2 layers of tan and a glaze, which I will always go through the company that the show provides, because you are going to have consistency, you're going to have a professional dealing with you. So it's another variable that you don't need to stress about, because you're in capable hands that they will absolutely nail your tan and you will fit in with everybody else on stage and not stick out like a sore thumb because you've got a really weird tan. So that is £80 per tan. A pro qualifier, they just chuck a bit of extra money on top because it's a pro qualifier. So across 2 shows, the tans have cost me about £180. So that can very quickly add up. We've then got posing trunks. I spent £80 on my little Y fronts, and that is because they are custom made. I am not leaving any stone left unturned, so I was not going to invest in just a medium pair of classic physique trunks. I wanted them tailored to my physique to accentuate the X-frame and make sure they fit perfectly. If I want to be a pro, I need to act like a pro, and small things like this add up. So £80 for a pair of posing trunks. And I'll be honest, I bought the wrong style first, so I had to buy 2 pairs. You can't refund a pair of tailored posing trunks. So that was essentially £160, but we'll go £80 for the posing trunks. And then I've invested in posing lessons as well. I think this is super important. I paid for a posing routine, individual one-on-one posing sessions, because how you display your physique can make a dramatic impact on your placing. If you're not able to display your physique correctly, you are going to hold yourself back. So I invested in that. Derek, shout out to him because he's an absolute goat when it comes to posing and his level of service that he provides. So let's just say roughly £200 there. But that wasn't for many sessions. You could easily invest more, especially if you're a first timer as well. So we'll say £200 for posing sessions, roughly. Now that is for 2 shows. If I do not achieve the IFBB Pro card this weekend, I will be looking to compete in an international pro qualifier, because there's no more opportunities within the UK to get the IFBB Pro card. So I will be looking at traveling to Poland or Romania. Very quickly add another huge sum of money and expenses to this prep, because I will be looking at flights, it will be another Airbnb, it will be another £200 by the time I enter a class. It will then be travel in a foreign country. There will be so many expenses that then start to clock up as a result of that. That could easily add on another £500 to £1,000 to this prep, because it's like a holiday, right? And then I've also forgot things like stage photos, because they're around about £120 for a full stage package. So that can add up, and it's so important that you get these memories, you get these high quality photos for feedback on your physique. So that could be another £120 per show. So let's say £250 for stage photos. And then obviously you could invest in a videographer, which I will be doing, but that's a separate expense for me. That's definitely not a must on a regular bodybuilding prep. So you can very quickly see how that adds up and why you need to plan and prepare so that you're in a financially stable position to support a prep. Because you do not want to do a prep and put yourself in a really poor position financially as a result of it. It's definitely not a poor man's sport, that is for sure. So if we actually total all of that up, that has come to a grand total of £5,380. That is a hell of a lot of money. And you've got to understand, people will do 3, 4, 5 shows in a season sometimes. So that's a little bit of an insight. Now, that could be way cheaper. If number 1, you're a natural. Number 2, you just do 1 or 2 shows that might be a little more local, and you decide to enter a federation that isn't the NPC. So don't be put off by that if you are a first timer. I think you're still looking at a minimum of £1,000 for a bodybuilding prep. But this does span over the space of 6 months, and you are going to save money in places as well. You're not going to spend as much on food. You're not going to be going out for off-plan meals every week, which very quickly add up. You're not going to be going on nights out if that's something that you're into. You're not going to be spending as much in other areas. So don't be put off by that, but understand, it is a huge financial investment. So I hope you guys found that interesting. Let me know down in the comments below if that far exceeded what you thought a bodybuilding prep would cost. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a few things as well. That distracted me from not feeling hungry for about 20 minutes. I'm going to do an hour of the J3 University, and then it'll be time to eat again, which I'm already excited for. Okay, people. Schlong teaspoon at the ready. Meal number 3 at the ready. As always, I am excited for this one. We have a sensational bowl of cream of rice. 75 grams of cookie dough cream of rice, 50 grams of hazelnut nugget whey isolate, 100 grams of banana, 20 grams of 85% plus dark chocolate, dash of cinnamon. Oh my, this is going to be good. This is a sensational flavour combo as well. Straight out the freezer, just how I like it. So good. So that's meal 3, guys. Just continuing to enjoy, kicking my feet up and letting the food do its thing. I'm definitely feeling an elevation in energy today, which is really nice because even with the additional food over the past few days, I've still been flagging hard. So I'm hoping that'll reflect in the visuals in the morning. So we shall see. Anyways, I'm going to tuck into this and I'll meet you guys back for meal number 4. Okay guys, meal number 4, and we have a 2-parter. Mainly because, the reason being, Dan has given me 100 grams of salmon and 100 grams of beef mince, and I don't think I want to mix them together. So I just thought I'd make myself 2 separate bowls. So the totals of this meal, we have 80 grams of uncooked white rice. We then have 100 grams of 5% beef mince, 100 grams of raw weight salmon, with some sauerkraut in each, and then we have some vegetables in there still. So just a light serving of spinach, mushrooms, and jalapenos. It's going to be like a part 1, part 2. I'm looking forward to this. It is getting later in the evening now, so starting to wind down. Actually starting to pack and prepare for the trip away this weekend. Trying to get ahead because tomorrow's going to be pretty busy. And I don't want to leave all of the packing until tomorrow because we leave early Friday morning. So just trying to get ahead of the game while I've got a nice relaxed day at home. So meal number 4, going down. I may have overcooked the rice. Borderline mashed potato, a little bit depressing, but it's going to taste lovely nevertheless. So we're going to get this meal down and I shall meet you for the final meal of the day. And you know what it is. It's a bowl of goats, baby. And an even larger bowl than the last few days, which I'm super excited for. So I shall meet you for the final meal of the day. It's that time, people. The goats are here. 120 grams, chefing up in the saucepan. Requirements for it to actually be called goats. It needs to be Flahaven organic jumbo oats. No Quaker shit, no Scottish rolled oats, none of that sprayed fine stuff that's just like slop in a bowl. We want texture of the finest quality. And then we have got it in a saucepan. No microwave, this is cooked to perfection in the saucepan. And then we've got a whey isolate to go down with this, almond butter, pink salt. I will total it all up for you when it is chefed up in the bowl. But I am very excited for this. Arguably the best meal of the day. They're all damn good, but this is essentially the best sleep aid on the planet. A nice warm bowl of oats to send me to sleep. And sleep has been much better over the past few days with lipolytics out, with food on the up, which has been really, really nice. I'm going to chef this up to perfection, get it in the bowl and show you the finished product to round off this day of eating. The body is feeling fresher by the meal. So here we have the dreamy bowl of oats with the perfect consistency to send me to sleep. I am so fortunate to have 120 grams of oats. And when you are up above the 100 gram mark, I just feel like the texture just completely levels up with like a 5-to-1 or a 4-to-1 water to oat ratio. We've then got 50 grams of whey isolate, 20 grams of almond butter, and a bit of cinnamon over the top. Oh God, this is so good. So good. I'll never get bored of oats. Peak off season, depths of prep. Just so good. Okay guys, that is going to wrap up another day in peak week. When I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be 2 days out. Absolutely crazy. So I appreciate you guys supporting another video in this prep series. I hope you're enjoying it so far. We've got some exciting videos to come out. We have the final pump up session tomorrow, and then it will be the show day movie, which I'm so excited to bring to you guys. So make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed. We are in touching distance of 1,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed and you're watching right now, especially at this point in the video, what are you doing? And if you've made it this far, comment goats in the comments below. Spam the goat emoji, all right? And I'll see you in the next one.